Like the sign says, you are now leaving Forest Green. Don't forget to buckle up. You are damn lucky, kid. With all the grief you've given me, you should be leaving wearing your balls as earrings. And if I ever see you around here again, you can guarantee it. Let's get the hell out of here, Rick.
Hey, Adrenalheads, I'm Jayme.
And I'm Mark.
And today we are covering Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives from 1986. Although it's set in 1990, supposedly.
Really? Okay. I didn't read that before, and I didn't ask E.J. Graham himself that. But, yeah.
It's supposed to be 5 years after
Part 5.
Part 5, which was 1985.
So it's in the future.
Yes.
Which is so funny, too.
It's in the future past.
Yeah. The previous installment that we did cover, which was Part 5, was, filmed by a director that was, he was a director of formerly directing of softcore porn, as it were, hence why there was a lot of graphic nudity in it and sex scenes and things of that nature. This particular film, not so much. This has the noir of everything horror, slasher, and a really cool director who I actually do like. And this one was directed by Tom McCaughlin. So sorry, Tom, if I screwed all that up. But honestly,
this is the one that doesn't have any nudity, coming after the softcore porn.
Yes.
This is the only Friday the 13th that doesn't have any
nudity whatsoever, which honestly, I don't mind.
No.
At all. Actually, it was done very well, but the MPAA, and we'll get into this later, had cut this to shreds constantly. So, and this was my introduction to horror and slasher films in 1986 as a kid when I went and rented it. It was later in the year because this hit video releases and HBO very fast. And I remember I had the Fangoria issue where this was spotlighted and everything else, talked about all things that were cut, how the MPA had cut it and things of that nature. I still have that Fangoria, everybody.
Oh, that's cool.
It is so cool. The fact that almost 40 years later, I still have that Fangoria issue that I purchased off the shelf. So I just loved it. I was a kid in an all boys private Catholic high school, and I would read my regular books, but I also had my magazines, and I had Fangoria. And one of my friends, Chris, who we called Monster back then, he and I just we just love horror movies and stuff like that. And that's how he first met me. And I was reading it in the hallways between the stairwells in St. Peter's Boys Catholic High School in Staten Island. And I remembered that. I still have it. And I think I've watched this film since then over 100 times, at least. And it's one of my favorite films. It's one of my favorite go-to horror films because I know it like the back of my hand. I would love to see an uncut version of this particular film. But
that would be cool.
But there are cuts in the film that we will talk about. So with that, we chose to go on to our Friday the 13th coverage with this one. So we did Part 5. Now we're on Part 6. The budget for this particular film originally was estimated at $3 million. It grossed between US and Canada 19 million. 19,472,000. Opening weekend, it only grossed about 6 million. So, it doubled. It basically made what it was paid for and everything else, and grossed worldwide at 19,472,000. So, which is pretty good for a Friday film.
Yeah.
Ratings.
Rotten Tomato has a 58 tomato meter and a 54% popcorn meter. And outside of that, this is generally ranked as the second highest rated Friday the 13th movie.
Yes. Yeah. What was
This
the
is
first one?
the original.
The original? Really?
Yeah.
I think it probably has to do with the fact that part 4 was supposed to be the last, and then they came out with part 5, and then
Part 5 was terrible.
Yeah.
And some people just ignore it, understandably. Yeah, because this one is 5 years after part 4, not part 5.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it would have been 1989. Okay.
Yeah, they say it's 1990, so they. I guess. Yeah.
Filming locations was Hard Labor Creek State Park, Fairplay Road, Rutledge, Georgia. So
not New Jersey.
Not New Jersey, which a lot of the stuff from the Friday films, like even the first and I forget, there's a couple of others after that filmed in New Jersey or even upstate New York, up by where you used to live, Jayme, too, in this general area. They actually filmed one of them. I'm forgetting which one, but once we get to that one, you'll know.
Well, I remember that. Yeah. I don't remember
exactly.
which one now either.
I was told by a friend. The person who composed the music for the film, obviously, the typical composer we get for Friday films, Harry Manfredini. And effects, I put in some things in there for effects. So
if we're going to talk about the composer, we're also going to talk about the song that was written just for this movie.
Oh, yes. I did not put that stuff in there. I'll let you go ahead. I met the man a couple of times myself.
I actually have a picture with him and CJ Graham.
Oh, wow. With CJ. Awesome.
Yes. And CJ is being lifted up into the air, or is lifting Alice up into the air.
Awesome.
Yeah. But Alice Cooper wrote a song, The Man Behind the Mask, just for this movie.
And he also did Teenage Frankenstein.
Yes. I forgot about that.
So Teenage Frankenstein is a prominent song, as well as Man Behind the Mask, which shows up at the end credits. It was Alice's comeback album after years of not being in the business and getting himself cleaned from drugs and alcoholism, mostly alcoholism. He was more of an alcoholic back in those days. He has been reformed, has born again, and he has been clean since, everybody. And he still makes great music. And
he just came out with an album last year, didn't he?
Yeah. And he's an amazing person to talk to. He is very wholesome. And you would, the man loves his golf, loves his Godzilla films like I do. And
my 4-year-old at the time, 4 or 5-year-old at the time, I don't remember. I think she was 5. But at the Q&A, she asked him how to be a rock star because that's what she wanted to be when she grew up. And he gave this. He's like, well, first off, you got to listen to the Beatles.
Aww.
But he gave her this whole thing, and then he saw her later at the con and like ran over and gave her a high five.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Alice's big day and Mom's big day too for you.
Yes.
So. Oh man. Yeah. I got to meet Alice at 2 of the events at Chiller, I think. Chiller and Monster. One at Chiller, one at Monster. And he is so pleasant to talk to, hang out, take a look, take a picture with, and he'll answer any questions. And he is very accommodating. So those of you who have not met the man, please go out there, meet him. He's an amazing person. You've grown up with his songs, obviously. If you listen to rock music, it's on the radio.
If you haven't left the last day of school in high school blaring school's out, you've done things wrong in your life.
Exactly. So,
and now there's a few people going, oh, that's who they're talking about.
Yes. $1 Billion Babies. There's a whole bunch of songs out there. Elected. Oh man, we could go on and on and on, but that's a whole different podcast on a different part of Pyrocore Entertainment, which would be the Pyrocore Entertainment Music Podcast. But for now, we're going to continue on with our coverage of Friday the 13th, which Alice was a huge part of. We did get a video too, by the way, everybody.
Yes.
So that
you should look that up on YouTube.
That
it's
is on
fantastic.
YouTube, so you could check it out. CJ Graham actually does make an appearance, I believe, in it as well. And when we mentioned CJ Graham, Yes, he did play Jason. We will get into that a little later.
Yep.
Next up, we're going to get into the effects, which is mostly a huge part in horror films. So, Jayme, do you want to start with the first one?
Special effects. Martin Becker is credited with the special effects.
Mm-hmm. And Gabe Bartalos is credited
And
with special
Gabe
effects.
Bartalos.
Yeah. And also served as a special effects makeup assistant. At that point, we have who else next?
Brian Wade was specifically brought in to create a new look for Jason as an undead zombie building upon the wounds from previous films.
Which leads into continuity, which I do enjoy. And they actually do this in the next film, everybody, which is amazing. Yeah, that's another film that I do love from the series as well. We have, according to Friday the 13th, the franchise, Wade was tasked with creating all the makeup and prosthetic pieces of Jason following the script's description of a Jason zombie. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the synopsis?
Years ago, Tom Matthews, killed infamous hockey mask murderer Jason Voorhees, in this movie played by C.J. Graham, but not in that movie. And the intensity of the experience has landed him in a mental institution. To end his torment and achieve a level of closure, Tommy escapes from the hospital and heads to the graveyard where Jason is buried, intending to dig up the body and cremate it. But before his total annihilation can occur, a freak electrical accident resurrects Jason from the dead, and the terror begins anew.
Kind of reminds you of Frankenstein.
Yep. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And then you got a little bit of Return of the Living Dead in it, feel of it, which we will talk about with people in the film now. So people we may know within the film. So Jayme, start us off with the first one.
C.J. Graham, who plays Jason and is a super nice guy.
Yes.
A very tall man, though. Is an American actor who became known for playing Jason Voorhees in the 6th installment of Friday the 13th film series. Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Other movies he's been in, Highway to Hell, 1991. Himself in the movie, he played himself in the movie 13, Fanboy.
Mm-hmm.
And the YouTube movie Friday the 13th, Vengeance 2, Bloodlines.
Yes, those are the YouTube films we mentioned a few episodes back with our Friday the 13th coverage. I mentioned to everybody. I put them in the links so from the previous ones, but I could still do that to this day. I highly recommend them because other actors from previous films have come back and done that. Cool thing about CJ and how he got the part. He was a bar bouncer at one point, and they hired him because they liked how he did his work. And then they hired him on the spot when they were doing the filming. And he actually said this to me. He goes, "Yeah, I was just working at a bar, and they saw how big I was, and they said, wow." And they had somebody else already set for Jason, and they wound up offering it to CJ, which was a pretty cool little insight that I got directly from Mr. CJ Graham out of the years that I've gone to conventions and met some of these people. Well, next up, we got Tom Matthews, who played Tommy Jarvis. Thomas Matthews is an American actor best known for his role as Tommy Jarvis in the Friday the 13th franchise, in particular, obviously, what we're covering now, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, and Freddie Hanscom in The Return of the Living Dead. So, I said there was kind of some sort of reminiscence of Return of the Living Dead within it, which not just from him being in the film, but some of the pure aspects of coming back from the dead and killing and things of that nature. So his other film roles include Dangerously Close, Return of the Living Dead Part 2, so he comes back within that for a short time in the sequel, and Nemesis. Other movies he has been in, other than those, Never Hike Alone, a Friday the 13th fam film, another YouTube, by the way, everybody. And no, and it was a Hike Alone 2, Never Hike Alone 2, which is the sequel to it. So I highly recommend that you check those out on YouTube. I'll try to provide links in our notes so that way you guys could just jump to those. I'm starting to like the idea that a lot of fans are getting the original actors in here to do that, because how often do you get that?
Never Hike Alones. I like those.
All right, next up.
Okay, next up, Tom Friedley. He plays Court. Tom Friedley was born February 15th, 1965. He's known for this movie, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, Face Off, 1997, and Phenomenon, 1996. He is the nephew of John Travolta. I didn't know that.
I did.
He also can be seen in other films like Summer Camp Nightmare, 1987, Phantom of the Mall, 1989, and Max Duggan Returns, 1983.
Yeah, Max Dugan was a comedy film that came out in 83. I remember that. Summer Camp Nightmare was one of those straight to VHS, but it was a harsh watch because it was more reality based. It was almost, what was the book where they would hold the conch and it was a bunch of kids on an island? Animal Farm or something?
Lord of the Flies?
I think you're correct. Lord of the Flies. And it kind of reminded me of that, because kids just going crazy and killing and trying to take over. So, and they get rid of the adults. But yeah, he was in that. I highly recommend people to check out Summer Camp Nightmare if you can find it. It's very hard to find online now. I don't think it's streaming anywhere, but I have myself a copy that I'd gotten years ago. So it is an interesting take. It's very harsh and it's very hard. I wouldn't let kids watch it, even if it's, they're into horror and stuff like that. There's a lot of social commentary in it. Anyhow, moving on. Jennifer Cook, who plays Megan Garris. Jennifer Cook is a former American actress. She no longer acts. She is best known for the roles as Elizabeth Maxwell on the NBC science fiction television series V, and as Megan Garris in the slasher film, which we're covering today, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Other films that she can be found in, well, I actually mentioned it, V, the series, but that ran from 1984 to 1985, so that carried in from 84 all the way into 85. Episodes in the Friday the 13th TV series as well, which ran from 1987 to 1990. And
which had nothing to do with the movies.
No, it didn't. It was if you guys research the idea of Friday the 13th, the TV series, it's nothing like Freddy's Nightmares. It has nothing to do with Jason, has nothing to do with Crystal Lake in any way, shape, or form.
It's about haunted
items.
Antiques.
Yeah, antiques. Exactly.
I mean, it was an interesting show. I liked watching it.
Same here. It was weird, even though it's like you watched it the first time when it came out. It was on syndicated TV. In our areas, it was probably on UPN 9 or WPIX back in the day in New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania. But it had Roby in it and somebody else who actually moved on to another Friday the 13th movie from that show. I don't know if you remember that, Jayme, but we will talk about that when we get to that movie. And she was also in a movie which was like a kind of like, I don't know, I call them late night Skinamax kind of movies called Gimme an F from 1984. So she was in that. I don't know. I don't remember it, but I would not be surprised if there was a lot of nudity in it. But if you're interested in all that stuff, go look for it. It's probably out there.
Tony Goldwyn played Darren. He's born May 20th, 1960 in LA. He is an American actor, director, producer, singer, and political activist. He's known for his roles as President Fitzgerald Grant III in the ABC drama Scandal, Carl Berner in Ghost from 1990, and the voice of Tarzan in the 1999 Disney animated film.
Yes.
Goldwyn's acting career spans over 30 years and includes Broadway productions, television, and film.
He is probably the one that everybody always remembers because they all remember him as the Dirty Bird who did dirty to Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore and Ghost. So, yeah.
Are you saying they don't remember him from this movie?
Well, I did. It was so funny
when 30 seconds or his 5 minutes in the movie.
It's like, well, you're not Dirty Harry. Yeah, sorry not to quote the movie already, but but do you have a gun? You're not freaking Dirty Harry. And meanwhile, it's like a 6-shooter or a 5-shooter. Yeah, he was the one that I always noticed and remembered. Next up would be David Kagan, who played Sheriff Michael Garris. David B. Yanowitz is an American film, stage, and television actor. David Kagan is his acting name. So he is best known for playing Sheriff Mike Garris in the 1986 film Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. That's all I was able to really find from him online on a quick check. But as far as I know, he's done other things. He's played bit parts in other TV shows and on film. I'm pretty sure he's still, around. It's just that he doesn't work as much in comparison. The only other, he was in Star Trek a couple of times. That's the one thing I did remember from him. The people that I did leave out, which I should have put in, was Ron Palillo, and he plays Alan Hawes. Alan, who gets killed in the very beginning. Well, Tommy was trying to dig up and destroy Jason, and then winds up getting killed by Jason when he gets resurrected and goes thrown in. So Horshack from Welcome Back, Kotter wasn't laughing as he fell in. But kudos to him. Yeah, he was in that. I have to give a shout out to him. He was in there. And there's also Rob Larkin, who's in the movie as well. Rob, it's so funny too, because they made him look older, but he wasn't. He was the grave caretaker. He was the one that says,
"Yeah,
put him back. What am I, a fart head?"
Martin.
So, him. They gave him old age makeup to make him look a lot older than what he was. So he was actually pretty young, and I remember seeing that in the Fangoria issue way back when, which I still have, everybody. And then we got Courtney Vickery. She played little Nancy, who saw Jason as he was walking by with a headless corpse over his shoulder, walking past the cabin. And it was so silly and scary, but how scared she was and stuff like that. Then you had Carrie Noonan was another actress that was in it. I remember her from other films. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but just to give good mention to certain actors that we do remember, she played Paula, and her death wasn't even seen on film. We only see the aftermath in the cabin. Pretty much what you see in the Friday the 13th video game, if you all remember. If you played it, everybody, on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One when it came out. Hopefully, they'll remedy that issue and we'll get a new Friday the 13th film. And maybe they will continue on with that saga. Wow. All right, that was a lot to take in as far as people we may know, but I threw in some things, a little added extra that I didn't have documented, so Jayme didn't know this stuff, so she let me go on and talk. But we're going to move right along into, general thoughts of the movie. Jayme, what did you think of this movie, or how have you thought of this movie over the years?
I've always liked this movie. I think the very opening scene is a little cheesy. It's more typical Friday the 13th. But after that, like there are some amazing shots. There's some really good cinematography.
Yeah.
The cutting between storylines is done well. I really like this movie. I think it's one of the I agree with it being one of the best ones in the franchise.
Same here. Yeah, I agree. To me, like I said before, it was my introduction to, because I was a scaredy pants as a kid, and this kind of broke my cherry in a sense of, hey, I'm a big horror fan. Not only did it give me a slasher, but it gave me an undead slasher at that point. This is when Jason becomes a zombie Jason. You know, he's undead at this point. And my appreciation
crazy strength.
And crazy strength. Yeah. And the fact that, you know, when you first see him come out of the grave, it doesn't look that great, but they were able to move on in years later to make him look a little bit different. And it works out for the best. What different movies after that, I should say. It's one of my favorites. I put it in there in my top 3. So obviously, I have a lot of affection for this particular film. It's something I could leave on in the background. I could quote it, and then somebody be yelling at me like, "Look, can you let the movie actually play?" You know. Oh my God, he's gonna kill me! Hand over your bandanas, guys. Put them on. What? It's like, I did it all on Mr. Commando.
I used to tell my kids, take a nap, Junior.
So I could quote this like from any moment in the film, which is so funny. But it's one of those that I do like and I enjoy. I highly recommend to anybody who is not just a slasher fan, but also a zombie fan, because it's the first appearance of Zombie Jason.
Yeah, we get a whole new Jason from this point.
Literally, it's a whole new version. This is what actually redefined the series in a sense of creating something different. Whereas with Michael Myers, it was still just a walking around guy slashing and killing after all these years. And Jason at this point is officially dead, but zombified.
And superhuman. The lightning imbued him with all kinds of powers.
Yeah, like I said, it was like Frankenstein. So we're going to move right along into our favorite scenes, general discussion. So, Jayme, let's start off with yours. What's one of your favorite scenes?
Favorite, or just do I feel we need to talk about it?
Whatever works.
The opening scene. I feel like we have to talk about
scene?
Yeah, like Jason coming back to life.
No. There's an opening scene, which I thought was always pretty cool. Is the opening after the initial scene of him coming back, before the credits come on, or it's during the credits. You see the eyeball open.
Yeah.
And him walking like 007 and slashing. And the blood slashing and showing. That was a first, and that was a one and only one-off that they've ever done in the Friday series.
I love that.
Instead of the bullet shot in 007, we get Jason walking in on frame through his eyeball and then slashing it, and then blood, and then credits of what
and then
we're
just
watching.
To continue with that, the last thing we see is his eyeball, the same eyeball.
Yes.
Like they did that really well. I thought that was really well done, and I agree. I really like that part. That's a plus. But I want to talk about him coming back to life.
All right, go ahead.
So we have this completely desiccated, apparently only 5-year-old corpse. That there's all these spider webs. I don't know how spiders were alive in the coffin, but whatever. There's spider webs. There's a completely desiccated corpse. Yet there's still big fat maggots that are eating nothing.
Yeah.
So
I
then
think
Tommy,
it's meant there for effect.
yeah, no, I appreciate the effect. I like the effect. Then Tommy comes and he stabs this thing up, and we can see there's barely any skin on the head. There's
It's
the
like dust
hint.
coming
Yeah,
up.
there's dust coming off. This is a completely desiccated corpse. The gravestone is way more than 5 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It looks aged to the point of like 30 years.
Yeah. Everything's about 30 years. And then the lightning hits, and all of a sudden he's rehydrated.
Yeah. Well, it rained, so.
It rained after he got up. That was only when Tommy went to light the thing. So, but yeah. And then he's walking around for a while, and then all of a sudden a bunch of maggots fall out of him.
Yeah, after he gets slashed.
No, don't get me wrong. I love the maggots. I think they're fantastic, but just the logistics of Jason coming back,
yeah,
are a little suspect.
It is a little suspect, and it's you got to take this with tongue in cheek with these particular films. It's not meant to be taken too seriously, but I thought overall that introduction in the very beginning was pretty cool.
Yeah, and we got, we had our Corey Feldman moment where we hear him again.
Yes,
young Tommy.
They had to get him as Tommy Jarvis.
And they misspelled his name in the credits.
They did? Okay, I didn't catch that. Okay, I never caught that over the years. But he doesn't make an appearance, but you hear his voice. So the voiceover work, he gets that because of SAG-AFTRA and everything. So he gets paid on that. However often that they, redistribute this, or, it's played on TV or whatever streaming app or TV show. I did like the introduction of the camp counselors showing up in an old Volkswagen Beetle, which reminiscent to the original.
Yes, I loved that.
Yes. Yeah. We got Tony Goldwyn, and I'm forgetting her name, the actress. Was it Katie that was in it? Was that the character Katie?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. All right. So I'm confused. We didn't mention her, but the one who does play Elizabeth is, and at that time was the director's wife.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I have like a tendency, because I loved this movie so much, that whenever you get the Friday the 13th box sets, everybody, guess what? There's that whole documentary about it, and they have him, and they actually interview him, and he goes, yeah, I had put my wife in there and blah, blah, blah at the time. And that's the scene where she goes, I've seen enough horror movies to know that seeing a guy with a mask in the middle of nowhere isn't safe. And then then you got Tony Goldwyn coming out as Darren, and he grabs the gun out of she goes, where the hell did you get that? He goes, oh, I need it for emergencies just in case. What do you think you are, Dirty Harry? And he goes out there and he gets skewered and speared and chucked over
again with the superhuman strength.
Yep. And I thought that was like an immense scene. I was like, oh my God, look at how it's like he just gored this guy and done. And then, of course, Jason disappears.
Yep.
And she's running for her life. So
she tries to buy him off with $40 and an American Express card.
And the one joke that apparently the director states, he goes, everybody got it and they knew what to say in the film. And he goes, every time I got to see this in the theater, when I would see with the audiences, they all say, never leave home without it. Because you see it floating in the way.
It was a good shot.
It was a good shot. And kudos to the actress for doing it, for the fact that, wow, they had to, she had to stay underwater for so long under that puddle. And they had to feed her air through a hose. She talks about it on the documentary, so I highly recommend that. If you guys are into this stuff, I think Screambox has a box set still. It's out on 4K Blu-ray as well as regular Blu-ray. I want
to say it was on sale recently.
Yeah, probably. And they also have the other documentaries in there. There's the one where Tom Savini walks us through, and it's like literally an 8-hour documentary going from every movie to movie to movie. And they talk to everybody who is in each particular movie. So they do concentrate on this one, and I do really recommend it. But I found that scene funny, and it's like never leave home without.
One thing I want to say about this movie, as opposed to almost every other horror movie in the world, the people are prepared. Like, they're like, this doesn't feel right, I'm leaving. Oh, it's nobody's like, oh, I'm gonna go check. I mean, yes, they might check out that weird noise once or twice, but it was a valid reason to check out the noise. Like, you had to go check on the kids or something. Like,
yes. And at this point, they actually used kids in this one.
Yeah.
Which was a first for the movies in that case, because previous you didn't see any of the kids in the previous films.
Jason killed everybody before the kids got there.
Correct. So this is like the first where they actually had kid actors in it, and you're like, oh my God. Especially with the one kid going, so what did you want to be when you grew up?
But this one, like, Court, was it Nikki's like, hey, go out there and get the wire, and he's like, no, it's not a good idea. And then once he realizes, like, the wire's been cut, he's like, we got to get out of here. Like, let's start this thing up. And then, the car doesn't start. Horror movie trope. She's like, no. Just click the button. Like, we didn't have a ton of horror movie tropes.
No.
It didn't matter if you had sex or did drugs or anything. You were dying either way.
Correct. Yeah, that was the weirdest part. They did
if you
have
were over,
sex.
They did have sex, but there were people who didn't. If you were over 18 and Jason saw you, you were dying.
Yes. This comes straight out of like a video game, or the video game Friday the 13th video game. If you see it, if everybody, you could play a camp counselor, you could play Jason, you could play whatever. I still find it so funny because this one, it kind of stripped away a lot of the tropes. That was the only trope that was in there, as far as like them having sex and then being killed by Jason. And I think you saw the RV rocking.
Yes. And he was supposed to have sex for 10 more minutes before the song ended.
And she goes, you got to wait out until the end of the song. How long? Another 10 minutes. What? And of course, the lights get killed at that point because Jason cuts it. and
he finishes. Wait,
he finishes. Yeah, you did.
I thought the song ended.
Typical guys. Oh my God. You can see the pain in his face. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
So that's real acting right there. But she wasn't naked, which is pretty cool. And it was just the act of sex, which is interesting. But in that case, that was the only thing we got from the film in any case of anything sexual oriented within the film, except for the flirtatious stuff between, Megan and.
Well, we had the drinking with the Martin, the caretaker.
Yes.
He was drinking.
Yeah.
And then we had the couple who got engaged. They were about to have sex.
Yep. It was the first in a long time when you got two people skewered by a machete in one shot. On a motorcycle as they were leaving. So, and it was so funny how they just spit out the blood on top of each other.
Yeah. But this one didn't follow all the tropes. Like, I thought it felt different. It felt fresher.
It felt different in the sense that you couldn't predict what was going to happen. And a lot of times you knew that Jason obviously was going to kill some people. Yes, but you couldn't say, oh, they just had drugs. Oh, they're going to die. Oh, they just had sex. Oh, they're going to die.
They just all died.
They just all died. They were in his wrath.
Yeah, except for Tommy and Megan. They all just died. Spoilers.
The The one thing I did like was the paintball scene with the corporate trip, and
Yeah.
they have one gung ho female person in there, so kudos to them giving woman power to that. So she took out two of her.
She got three. She took out the really good guy first,
Yeah.
who ends up giving Jason the machete.
Yes. And allowing him to make a happy face symbol on a tree.
I think the symbol was already there. He just made it
Red.
bloody. And then we had the nerdy guy who we don't find for a while.
Yeah, and then we had a double beheading too at that point when he jumps out and he just chops both guys' heads off at the same time.
I think he chopped all three. I think it was both guys and the woman.
Yes, I think
they were
correct.
they were all in the row. It seems weird because like the way it goes so fast. Like you see the chop, it looks like it's only two, and then you see a third person, and at first you think it's the woman, and then you realize it's the dorky guy whose name I forgot.
Yes. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Roy,
which is Whitney Ryback. He played that. Actually, the person that was actually playing Jason in that particular scene for you guys, I don't know if this is because I don't look into known and interesting facts when I post them. The guy who played Jason Voorhees was Dan Bradley in that particular scene before he was replaced by CJ Graham in this film. So that was the only time you got to see Dan Bradley's portrayal of Jason in the film. So just a little bit of interesting facts. Yeah, then we have so much more that we do, like talking about the RV scene again. It's like Court is driving after he starts it. He gets there. She goes in the back. She goes, "Stop it. I'm driving." And then she's falling all over the place because he was driving erratically. And then next thing you know, Jason grabs her as she's running towards Court to like take over from the wheel. And he grabs her and brings her into the bathroom. And of course, as she's screaming, going off and whatever. And then he takes her face and smashes it into the mirror. And
is it the mirror or is it the outer wall?
It's the mirror that goes to the outer wall. And it's all metal anyway. So it's just like you see the imprint of somebody's face coming out. And then Court going, "Hey, what are you doing? Taking a dump?" And then he's like, he just starts blasting the music even more, which is playing the Teenage Frankenstein by Alice Cooper.
Yep.
And he goes, "Hey, Jason, check this out." And then he gets a knife in his head. But the RV flips over, and then Jason's triumphant standing above the RV.
It's so cool. So I have the Camp Crystal Lake Memories book, and that's where I get all my Friday the 13th autographs.
Okay.
And they have like a full page spread of that with Jason standing on top of the RV, and that's what I had CJ Graham sign.
Awesome. Yeah, CJ was proud of that one. The director himself was a little upset, and it's in the documentary. He talks about it. Apparently, they had bought all this stuff brand new, and the RV was set. And the one thing that was asked by one of the producers was, "Hey, can you not use the it's kind of like a storage container that's on the top of the RV itself, and to take that off before the stunt." Well, they didn't do that. What do you see fall off and skyrocket and explode once it hits the screen once they do that? And they're like, yeah, he was not too happy about that. It was brand
Whoopsie
new.
doodle.
He was like, "Just save that for me, please." And no. So I thought it was pretty funny. I did like I said, there were certain scenes like I forget her name who got killed. It was Carrie Coonan as Paula, and then Darcy DeMoss playing the
Sissy?
Yeah. Is it Sissy Nikki? They put her as Nikki
Uh,
here.
Nikki is the one Court is having sex with.
Oh,
Sissy
okay.
is the other counselor. So the counselors are
Okay, yeah. So it is Sissy. Yeah. So they're playing the card game of where's Jason?
I love that she made up a card game.
Yeah, and that's something that actually fans of the film have been doing for years, apparently. But they can't really. I guess they expanded on it, so now it's like an online thing. But the fact is that it gets to that point where she hears noises, and then she gets taken out of the window, and then her head split around, and she thinks it's Court and her. Paul thinks it's Court and her screwing around outside. Come on, guys. Blah 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 blah.
Okay. This man, Jason, it very, very, very quickly twists her head just clean off.
Correct.
Clean
and
off.
Leaves it in a car too, by the way, later on.
Later on, he squishes heads. He folds people in half in 2 seconds.
Yes.
But somehow, when it comes to Megan and Tommy, they have titanium skulls. And he's not able to squish theirs. These are my only nitpicks, like the very beginning and the not being able to kill our heroes at the very end are my only nitpicks. Yes. Otherwise, everything is
pretty cool.
I don't want to say believable, but
yeah,
believable in this realm.
It Megan was and Tommy, so that we have somebody who's actually alive at the end.
Yeah, it's just like Megan and Tommy have titanium skulls.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Oh, it just makes me laugh. Like some of these, it's the typical horror trope, but yeah, they had to make it. It's like you have what did they used to call it? It's like story guarding, where you're gonna guard those who are the main characters within the film to survive. Something that I was surprised at when I just watched recently, of all films, Until Dawn, which is based off a PlayStation game that I played years ago. And actually, to give you guys a heads up, that's actually a decent film. I actually was quite surprised, and it had all the scares in it that you do get in the game. There's some slight twists with characterizations and things of that nature, but yeah, it's like I guess it's character iron or something they call it, but they you have to leave somebody to live at the end.
Right.
Otherwise, Roy Scheider and what's his name would be dead at the end of Jaws.
Yeah, they need some plot insulation.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if we're going to be nitpicky, and I'm going to be nitpicky and honest, we watched him just crush skulls without a second thought and break bodies in half, and all of a sudden, we've got two people who have just uncrushable skulls.
Yeah. I like the ending scene, which was pivotal. Tommy, he gets all these books, amasses all these books after he gets out of jail, after Sheriff Michael gets him taken out and leaves him at the end, but he contacts Megan at the sheriff's office. And she picks up and she goes, "My father's going to kill you if you do come back." Blah, 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 blah. But he's got all these books in his car of the occult and everything. And it was so original for its time, but you have to factor this is 1986. How many years earlier was the, Evil Dead series?
Yeah.
So they try to equate it to that, which makes sense, and it works out for the best. They try to create some sort of lore within the Friday the 13th at that point, and they stretched it out years later, even through I think it was part 10, or is it part 9, with like when Jason comes back, Jason Goes to Hell.
That's part 9.
Yeah, okay, it's part 9. So yeah, part 10 would technically be
Jason X.
No, Jason versus Freddy. Or no, you're right, Jason X.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I
because
got the
it's
X.
Jason 10. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, but they utilized that in that particular film of all things. You got the Necronomicon, you got the dagger from Evil Dead in there, and everybody's been, and then by then the comics had already come out too of Jason versus Ash versus Freddy or versus Leatherface. And then they've had that stuff in there. But I just like that you get to see that, and then it gets to that point where he does come back to the camp, and Jason is literally scaring the bejesus out of the kids.
Just poor little Nancy.
Yeah.
Which I think they picked the name Nancy on purpose.
Oh,
a nice
Friday,
little nod
to Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah.
The girl having nightmares, or they think is having nightmares, is named Nancy. I like that they did. There's no way that wasn't done on purpose.
No.
And I appreciate that. Was going to be one of my notes. Yeah, is Lil Nancy.
Little Nancy. Yeah, she sees Cece's body with no head over Jason's shoulder as he walks past in the cabin on the deck, but through the windows, and she freaks out and jumps right underneath her covers. The other kids getting scared from all the screams and noises of people and everything. Jason getting crushed by he comes through the door, or just through, even not through the door, but through the wall almost of one of the cabins. He just breaks through.
Yeah.
That was like an amazing stunt that CJ actually had to do.
But before we move away from Nancy, at one point we think it's Jason, and it's her with the bloody machete.
Yes.
Going to Paula. Why she picks up this machete, no one knows. But
and Paula's like, ew, what is on this? They just
she, at that time, she's thinking Court is playing games. Like, I get it. It looks more like jelly than blood. I get it. And then later, I really like when we come back later and we see Paula look down, and it's just the outline of blood of the machete, and the machete's gone.
Yeah.
Like, that was a really, really nice touch. Like, that was a good, creepy touch.
And then there's the door opening at a certain point too, Apollo, where all you see is blood splattering on the walls and everything. And then later we see the outcome, and it's just blood everywhere.
Gruesome. Like, he was painting with her body.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It was like a Pollock painting.
Yes. Because at first, when she dies, we just see the blood across the window.
Correct.
And then the window gets blown out. Half her body gets hung out of it and then ripped back in.
Mm-hmm.
And then apparently just torn apart and rubbed all over everything.
Yeah. The one brutal scene you mentioned it a couple of times. It's the folding in half of the of all people, the sheriff himself. What's his name? Garrett, isn't
Chief. I don't know if we ever call him by his name, so I didn't write it down.
Garris. It was Sheriff Michael Garris, because
Michael
it's
Garris. Yeah.
So there is a whole scene where you get him and he confronts Jason, and it gets to the point where, and then this is a split scene. This is something that's been deleted. It's something I've known for years. I've actually seen the unedited version on Sci-Fi.
Oh.
Go figure. They put the unedited version on Sci-Fi where you see him bend over the whole body, snap in half. Mind you, that's on syndicated TV on a cable channel. Whereas in the theater at this point, years before, guess what? It was edited out. And we get this in a Sci-Fi edit. It's out there somewhere. It's actually on the box set. You could see some of the outtakes and everything else on where it was. And they do mention it. But I remember it. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't remember that whole scene. You only see him. It's like he starts bending him, and then he's flattened in half on his back. His back is touching his backside. And then I'm like, because it just cuts at that point. And I'm like, oh my God. There was also like the ongoing gag about wherever the red dot goes, you banged.
Yeah.
with the sheriff's deputy who
That
has
was an
laser scope
that was an intensely sized laser scope for that particular
gun.
piece of
Yeah.
that particular gun.
Yeah, it was. But then again, that was the 80s.
And you got to make your point.
What?
Well, like with the scope, like it's very obvious. Like you
Yeah,
can't
he
have
was,
like a little tiny scope for
he
that
was
scene. You need to
compensating
make
for
it.
something he didn't really have. I know.
Yeah, he was a cartoon of a character.
He was definitely. It's like, oh, I'm not the one with the funny red nose.
Doesn't notice the kids flirting with each other, and
Yeah.
it takes him like 2 minutes to notice they're kissing.
Hey, get your hands off her. Yeah, that's about it for like certain key moments, other than the very last scene where Tommy uses the chains to drag Jason down with a big, huge boulder rock.
Yes, because he believes that Jason, the only way to get rid of him is to keep him where he was resurrected, which doesn't make much sense to me, but but during the Tommy Jason fight scene, we see Jason fly up out of the lake like the first movie.
Yes, he does jump up over and hit the boat to break it in half at one point. Yeah, but
he flies up just like the first movie. Like he comes out of the water.
Yep, it's a callback. It's a callback for it, and he starts like pounding on Tommy at that point.
But it ends up not being a dream.
Yeah, exactly. And then the chain is already around his neck by that time. And then his face gets kind of chiseled out with the motorboat as well, or his neck, I believe, before he goes down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have as far as like certain key moments I enjoyed, kill moments in the movie. I don't know if you have any others.
I did like the I don't want to call it car chase, but I guess it was a car chase.
Hard Rock
where Megan USA. Thinks she's got it, and then all of a sudden there's her dad. Like, no, sorry, honey, you are not smarter than your dad.
No, get down. Put your head here.
Oh, yeah. And then they keep zooming in on the crotch.
And then when he gets pulled over, the door opens. They see him. He goes, oh, oops. Because I know that. That's my daughter's car. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many moments within the film. A lot of it full of levity. And a lot of it full of gore, as well as a bit of action to some degree. They did actually have some guy who was kind of like a pretty boy who was like brushing his mustache. He gets killed at one point too.
I called
and he was protecting
in my
notes.
Kids.
Yeah,
I called him Officer Handsome.
Yeah. Because he kept looking in the mirror, and the guy even says it. He goes, "What are you doing?" He's like, I gotta look good. And then next,
it's supposed to be July, and they're in these heavy coats.
Well, this was filmed in the winter at this point, Georgia.
But it's supposed to be July in, I think, still Jersey.
Yeah, because that's where Crystal Lake is, or Forest Green.
Crystal Lake. Oh, and when like the very last thing, when the boulder makes it to the bottom of this now miraculously crystal clear lake that's been green and murky all the rest of the time, but now it's crystal clear, we can see through it. At the bottom of this lake is a Camp Crystal Lake with it crossed out blood, like Camp Blood sign. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah. Because in the very beginning of the movie, it's like, oh, the sign says you are leaving Forest Green. Or whatever it was. I forgot the name of the town. I don't know.
Yeah, 4 screen.
I would think it would be 4 screen.
Yeah, I think it's 4 screen.
Yeah.
I wrote it down a few times, and now I don't see any of them.
Yes, the sign says you are leaving Camp 4 screen right now.
Well, you're leaving Forest Green because the town is also because they renamed Crystal Lake to Forest Green,
Yeah.
and then
Which is so funny too, because later on they eventually change it back.
because they know they can't hide it.
No. But yeah, that's all I had about the movie as far as like certain moments. What about you?
Yeah, that's about all I got to.
You have a body count apparently.
Yeah, I just there were 18 total kills in this movie.
Wow. And is that the most in any Friday the 13th film?
Technically, if you want to get weird about it, Jason X wins because he took out that whole planet or whatever thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So
That's funny.
Jason X tech. I think even Freddy versus Jason might have a bigger count.
Really?
I think so.
Huh.
Let's see what Google has to say.
I'm curious because there's so many out there. It's like how are they going to top it?
Jason Goes to Hell has 25.
Okay.
Again, if you leave Jason
Because of
X
the
out of there.
precinct. I think it's because of the precinct. He kills everybody in the precinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Wow. Come on. They're going to watch it anyway, or they have probably watched it a dozen times anyway. Yeah. So, well,
Yeah.
I guess for now we can move on to interesting facts or unknown facts about the movie.
All right. Aside from Alice, who has a minor role in the second film as well as a starring role in the first, Tommy Jarvis is the only recurring protagonist in the series, albeit played by 3 different actors.
Yes. Yeah, because we got Corey Feldman, the guy in Part 5, and then now Tom.
Yep.
All right. Crew member Dan Bradley played Jason on the first day, which I already mentioned, of shooting. Which is why Jason's build and the paintball scenes are different. This is also why Jason's eye color changes during the film. That I can't tell because I don't get really much of a close-up. Paramount had seen this first day's rushes and asked that Jason be recast, feeling that Bradley looked too bulky for the role. Therefore, Graham was given the part.
Director Tom McLaughlin took home some props from the film, including Jason's tombstone. Oh, I would totally take that home, which sits outside his house to make it look like Jason is buried in his yard, and his casket, which sits in the garage. A DVD box set includes the scene in which he shows off the props at his home and tells how the city employee refused to enter his yard to read the meter because he thought a body was really buried there.
Yeah, I have that. I highly recommend those, everybody. Screenbox, and then there's another one that I have that's in a metal tin. Years after the release of this film, Kevin Williamson told director Tom McLaughlin that this film had a huge influence on him growing up and helped inspire him to write his meta slasher film Scream from 1996.
Classic.
And if you also know, he also wrote Dawson's Creek.
Oh, and we discussed this next one already too. The little girl who keeps having nightmares is called Nancy, which has been interpreted by many fans as a nod to the protagonist in A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984, played by Heather Langenkamp, also a lovely woman.
Yes.
However, the director actually named the little girl after his wife, Nancy, who plays Lisbeth in the film.
Yep.
All the stuff we mentioned before.
Yeah, I know. It's stuff that we just casually talk about, that things that come up in my head and I just remember them. So sorry if I spoiled everything, everybody. But lastly, although not credited as a stuntman, CJ Graham did all his own stunts in the film, including being yanked by wires during gunshot scenes and being set on fire in the climactic scene. So, yeah, CJ is actually doing the con circuit, and this is that time of the year when they do that, right around Halloween. Usually it's between August until the end of November, right before Christmas time. That
Yeah,
lot of cons come out, Monster Mania, Chilla Theater, all that good stuff.
Monster Mania is next month in Oaks, Pennsylvania. If anybody wants to join me, I will be there.
There you go. And
it's gonna be 2 Jasons that are gonna be there.
Ooh, Kurzinger?
I think Kane Kurzinger, Hodder. Yeah. No, not Kane. I've heard Kane and Dave have had a falling out.
Dave?
The guy who runs Monster Mania.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw something recently online with Kane. He did something for somebody, which was pretty cool. But I did not know that. Okay. I've seen him at so many cons, though. Kane.
Yeah, I've seen him a bunch. I've gotten all of the. I'm not to go off on. Linda Blair is going to be there. I'm super excited to meet her.
Oh, you've never got to meet her?
I haven't met her before.
Oh, she's amazing. I got to meet her years ago.
And they're having an Tom Savini is going to be there if we keep it Friday the 13th. So Tom Savini is going to be there. Tom Morga is going to be there. Oh. Adrienne King, Amy Steele, Glenn Innes.
Okay.
Tom Morga is on my list. I haven't met him yet either.
Tom Morga was in what Friday? I think. What was it? Part 3? No, it wasn't part 4.
Part 5.
Oh, okay. Yes, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah. All right. Yep.
And he was in Halloween 4.
That he was. Yep.
And Adrienne King is the original Alice from Friday the 13th, and Amy Steele is from part 2.
Yep. Yeah, they actually had stories about people with like where the survivors of Friday come together to go after Jason directly, and it would be Tom and Amy Steele's character, as well as Lar Park Lincoln's character from part 7. And they create like a whole group of people, and they go after them. After him, but that kind of probably went and gone on the wayside, because Lar Park Lincoln at this point, she passed away, everybody. So sadly enough, we don't have her anymore, but she was in a YouTube Friday movie out there. You got to check it out. She does continue her character that was in part 7, who is telekinetic. But other than that, that's about it with unknown and interesting facts about the movie Friday the 13th part 6. Do you have any quotes that we haven't mentioned, Jamie?
We have some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
Yeah. I forgot about that one.
And where was it? When Paula is talking to Nancy, she says, some grown-ups like to scare each other, or think it's fun to scare each other.
Yes.
Or fun to get scared or whatever. I'm like, because and like all of us are watching this movie. We like being scared. That's why we're watching this movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, grown-ups think it's funny to be scared. That's what it is. It's like, that's talking about all of us. I like don't wake the kids. I'm like, why don't you take the kids out of there?
Exactly, right? I got one from the sheriff going, it goes, please, Sheriff, you'll see we dug him up. And Garrus goes, well, he must have got chilly in the night and pulled the dirt back over. Because that's not right. Somebody covered it up. I got to see it. And Rick draws for his gun and points it at Tommy's head. He goes, freeze it, psycho. And then Garrus goes, now see what you've done? You made my deputy draw his revolver. He's been dying to try out his mail order laser scope. The deputy Rick goes, wherever the red dot goes, you bang. That's where that comes from, everybody.
Oh, I liked this cutting together. when Martin's digging the grave back in, he says, "Does he think I'm a fart head?" And then it cuts
So all
to the kids saying, "Yeah."
I thought that was hilarious with that one. Or when Cece goes to when Paula asks her, she goes, "Oh, where's Court? He's doing my favorite sport. What's that? Boy Scouting, honey." And it's like kind of like and then you see him, he goes, "Yeah, see, they put these rocks together and blah blah blah." He goes, it's like, oh, the kid doesn't want to see that, dad went with this other chick and he breaks the rock. So he just looked. It's the funniest scene.
That was so funny.
It's
The kid's like, if this is what it's all going to be like, I don't think we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. They had a bunch of good lines in it. It's like,
yeah,
it
was a good movie.
Yeah, the last one while elaborating, it's the whole scene. It's Tyne going, you know what I think? I think we're dead meat. And a little later on, after hearing Megan screaming, Tyne goes, real dead meat. And then Billy goes, so what were you going to be when you grew up?
I had that one written too. I like that one. That one's so cute.
Yeah, they and then they actually do have the correction of the forest green too, because Megan says that to Tommy at one point. Yeah, that's about it. I think I kind of brought everything else up that I had written. So, but yeah, that concludes our coverage of Friday the 13th Part 6. Everybody.
Long awaited,
but yeah, it's around that time of the year. This will be out by the time Halloween shows up, everybody. So you'll have something to listen to, and then hopefully you'll pull and choose this movie as one of your picks to watch that night. AMC has been putting a lot of stuff on the AMC app as far as horror movies. You got VHS Halloween, which is actually pretty decent, and there's a whole bunch of other movies out there too. So now we're at the point in the podcast is where can listeners hear you, Jayme?
I have been a constant guest host on Podcastica's coverage of the Great British Bake Off called Bake-tastica with Greg and Wendy. And the next upcoming one, we actually had Jason joining us.
Oh, cool. Awesome. For me, all you listeners know you could hear me here on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, as well as Panels to Pixels Podcast. Sometimes on What's On Tonight when Becky has me on, because I had to do all of Dexter Resurrection.
Such a good show.
And I had a ball doing that. Now they're moving on to It. Welcome to Derry. So check that out.
I just watched that last night. That first episode was awesome.
It was
now I have to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, I literally sent them feedback earlier today because they're recording tonight as well. But yeah, as I mentioned, anything that you want to hear me on could be found on the PirateCoreEntertainment.com website. You'll have all the links and everything there to go to see what we're on, what's out, what's new. Just click on that, for Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, Panels to Pixels Podcast, dinner for her, and go from there. I still have Fantasy Picks Movie Edition on there for those of you who want to hear me with Rob and the guys, because apparently Spotify still has it available. So it's a good link to pick onto if you're on your computer or whatever, you want to have something in the background. As far as feedback, we didn't get any, but for you to submit your feedback, all you have to do is go to our Facebook group, facebook.com/Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. I probably posted this a long time ago and never got any feedback on it, but I understand it. Some people go, this thing again? Okay. But if you are listening and you feel the need that you want to send us feedback, it's greatly appreciated. Please do, and send it to our email address, which would be adrenalincinemapodcast@gmail.com. You can write out your thoughts, We'll read them on the next time that we're on. Next,
when we finally get to part 7, we'll read about part 6.
Well, that too, yeah. Or I could read it when Frank and I covered the Toxic Avenger, which we're doing later this week. So the new Toxic Avenger movie, and we're going to do a little bit of a comparison. You could record yourself, and we'll play that as well. So it's as if you could be on the podcast yourself. There's always, ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please just fill it out if you can and be greatly appreciated. 5 stars are always welcomed. And we can be found on YouTube as well. Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. All you have to do is look for the links, or just look for, or just search it and then subscribe and ring the bell and then like, and that helps us out in the end too.
We appreciate it very much.
That we do. So yeah, like I said, anything else, just go to piratecoreentertainment.com, and then you'll have all the other links that you need to, especially email, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. So check it out. So with that, I just want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast. Halloween is upon us. That's our time of the month for most of us. So
yay!
Enjoy
time of the
it.
year.
Yep. Be safe. Watch your kids. Go to trunk or treat, and go to those conventions if you can. They're fun.
If you're in Oaks, find me and say hi.
There you go. See, go to Monster Mania. So that was Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Jayme.
And we'll see you the next time we change the reel. Goodbye, everybody. Copyright. Frank Manfredini. All right. See you guys.